Right.
Oh, did I show you guys me dressed up as Qadir?
Yes, we've seen
Yes,
it.
you did. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was in the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Oh, the other one, right? Is
If you do the one,
what was it? Opus Echo of Star Song. It's in that chat.
Oh, in the
don't
Echo.
know.
Okay, I'll look into that one. It wasn't
you have to
the
scroll up a
World
bit.
Syndrome, right?
No.
Oh, hello.
Kelly.
okay. One of these nights you'll have to buy something, you reflect as you ring the doorbell of the occult bookstore that serves as Agathon's haven. Perhaps something about auras or the tarot. The same sleep-deprived blonde woman you saw on your first visit opens the door for you. Each kindred has their own servants, and Agathon seems to go for the tired Wiccan mom type.
Nika, go for it.
Oh, it's you. Come in.
The woman disappears into the back room even as you close the door behind you. Lacking any better directions, you make your way up the stairs. At first you thought the chanting was part of the ritual soundtrack that plays in the shop even at night. As you reach the second floor, you realize that it's Agathon's voice. You come up just in time to see him standing in the middle of his ritual paraphernalia with his wrist cut open over a wrought iron stand, holding a blood-red stone. As Agathon chants, blood drips from the wound in his wrist onto the stone. It looks as if it's absorbed into it. It's probably not a good idea to... Look, stream cut off. Okay. It's probably not a good idea to interrupt blood rituals, so you wait in silence as Agathon finishes. A few minutes later, he opens his eyes and smiles ruefully.
I've done so many of these rituals. I hope it's not too off-putting for you.
Agathon smears a bit of his own blood over the wound, and you see it close. It looks like he does this so often, he barely pays attention to it anymore.
I don't mind. We're all vampires here.
That we are.
Agathon picks up the blood-red stone from its stand.
This is a bloodstone. Could be useful.
He doesn't seem inclined to elaborate.
Anyway, let's go.
He pockets the stone and leads you back down the stairs and outside to his car. Soon you're on your way to Queens and Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. After parking the car, you follow Agathon on foot as he leads you deeper into the park. Coming to a New York park in the middle of the night might have worried you when you were alive, but now it's normal. If someone tries to mug you, it just means you'll have an opportunity to feed. Agathon walks with purpose, as if he knows exactly where to go. You see the Unisphere, a giant metal sculpture of Earth, lit up so park-goers can appreciate it at night. You're not sure how Agathon picks his ritual spot, but he must have a purpose in mind. The sculpture stands in the background, giving his preparations added dramatic weight.
Then watch while I perform a ritual. It'll reveal whether the notes we seek are here. I'll lose control of the incantation if you fail to keep me free of distractions.
It doesn't look like there are many people around. You settle in for a boring half hour while Agathon mumbles and makes strange gestures, spilling drops of his blood at regular intervals. From the outside, the ritual is not particularly flashy. Agathon repeats a mantra under his breath and walks with measured steps until he stops and turns around, walking back. It looks as if there's an invisible structure he must follow, unseen patterns and limits governing his movements. As choreographies go, it doesn't look particularly difficult to learn, but you suspect there are hidden dimensions of skill and understanding involved. A lone, drunken woman walks towards you. Hard to say what she's doing at the park. She's a little older, white, dressed like a suburban divorcee.
Is it me?
Oh yeah, go for it.
What's your friend doing? He's kinda hot.
The woman's words are slurred by alcohol, but she seems to have decided that you are this evening's entertainment.
Hey, you. Stop being weird and talk to me.
The woman seems determined to walk past you toward Agathon. This looks like just the kind of interruption that he was worried about. Agathon is deeply immersed in his ritual, so why not use the time you have constructively? You walk up to the woman from behind, grab her by the shoulders, and sink your fangs into her throat. Blood tinged with alcohol and horniness flows into your mouth as the woman moans from the sudden pleasure of the kiss.
Release Nika. Nika, are you there?
Maybe she's having connection issues.
Nelly, jump in.
You drank too much blood.
I need to sit down.
Just as you lick the wound closed, the woman collapses onto the ground, swaying, trying to sit upright. Suddenly you hear a scream of rage. Startled, you turn around just in time to see Agathon running at the woman on the ground, his expression contorted with hatred. Did the woman make enough noise to interfere with the ritual? That doesn't explain why he's in such a rage. You step aside as Agathon leaps at the woman, sinking his fangs into her neck as she screams pitiably. The woman's screams quiet down as Agathon drinks more and more.
Don't let him kill me.
You pull Agathon away from the woman. He struggles, but he's clearly not used to physical scuffles. Agathon looks at you wild-eyed, then suddenly snaps out of it. He stares at you in embarrassment and horror.
You shouldn't have had to see that. I'm really sorry. Something triggered one of my wards. We have to go now. There's no time to waste.
Agathon starts running toward his car, and you do your best to follow. Usually Agathon drives more carefully than most humans you know, but now something is different. He's speeding, honking at every car that gets in your way. You're driving towards the Bronx, and twice Agathon almost collides with another car. He's clearly not used to driving quickly, but something is overriding his usual caution. You screech to a stop in front of a red tile apartment building. Agathon jumps out of the car and starts running, leaving you to take the keys from the ignition and close the doors. Agathon disappears up the stairs and you follow his agitated shouting.
Abuela! It's me, Javi!
You get to the 5th floor landing after a run that would have left your mortal self winded, to find Agathon banging on an apartment door and fiddling with his keyring. A few of the neighbors poke their heads out into the hallway, but nobody intervenes. Agathon finds the right key and slams the door open, running inside. You follow, entering what looks like the home of an old Mexican lady. There are portraits on the mantelpiece and a crucifix on the wall. The apartment smells musty with old age, and you detect a faint odor of vampiric blood.
Silvia? Silvia, where are you?
You come to the living room to find a body covered by a blanket in the corner of a sofa. The television is on, but the sound is off. It looks like a Spanish language channel. Agathon tears at the blanket, pulling it away in a panic. He reveals an old woman waking up in bleary-eyed confusion.
Natalie, go for it.
Oh god. Harvey, why are you barging in like this? Who's your friend?
You're alive, Abuela.
Agathon hugs the old lady and then turns to you.
You'll have to introduce yourself. I'll check the ward. Something triggered them, and I'll have to see if they still work.
Silvia snuggles deeper into her blankets.
This is vampire business, isn't it? Always, when there's trouble, it's the vampires.
You stare at her, startled. Clearly the masquerade hasn't held in this household.
Yeah, exactly. Frankenstein's not far behind. Anyway, I'm Eric. Must be his grandmother.
Frankenstein is not real. He's made up by those people in Hollywood. This is about the girl who came to visit. I can tell. Harvey was never good at keeping secrets. So much like his mother.
You hear Agathon rummaging around the small apartment, almost as if he's scratching at something on the walls.
He's always doing that. Writing on the walls with blood. Making runes. I tell him to cover up with the photos and the paintings, but he won't listen. I have to do it myself.
That explains the faint smell of vampire blood in the apartment.
Otherwise, how can I invite friends for tea? They'll ask questions if I have runes all over my walls. It doesn't look like a Christian home anymore.
The girl who was here earlier. Was her name Juno?
Yes, that's right. A pretty name, I suppose. She was just the kind of girl Agathon used to fall for. She was a vampire too, I expect.
Yes, she was.
I knew it. Poor girl. I suppose she had a life once.
Agathon returns to the living room, still agitated.
She wanted to send a message. If we don't let her find the notes first, she'll hurt my abuela.
He glances meaningfully at the old woman.
No, she won't. She gave me a message for you, Harvey. She said to think very carefully whether your clan will really protect your loved ones.
Agathon stares at Silvia, stunned and confused.
She was here to tell me that?
Turn your gain up slightly.
Maybe that's good. It doesn't
Better.
sound like she wants to hurt you.
She was a nice girl. I can tell.
Oh, Abuela. Eric, let's go. This is all we can do here.
You say your goodbyes, and soon you're back outside, sitting in Agathon's car.
What a catastrophe. To think Juno was here. The wards trigger when a vampire enters the perimeter, so Juno was there. Just as I was doing the ritual in the park. I'll take you to your haven.
Agathon starts the car and begins the drive toward Manhattan. He appears agitated, emotions coursing under his stoic face.
Her grandmother seemed to be very well informed about vampires.
Vampires and my family, where the kindred go, tragedy follows. We follow that as much as anyone. We know as much as anyone. My parents were murdered by a thaumaturgical ritual. Hard to go back to the masquerade after that.
Agathon is gripping the steering wheel harder than he should, although he's back to his usual careful driving style.
I'm sorry this happened to your grandmother. I have to fear for her safety.
This is what it's like for all kindred who have a mortal they love. The thing is, if you don't want to lose your battle with the beast, you should probably hold on to those relationships anyway, even when it hurts.
Agathon drops you off in front of your haven. The experience leaves you with disquieting thoughts. You met Agathon's grandmother under awkward circumstances, but he clearly loves her very much. You don't know enough about the world of the kindred to say whether that's normal or not. It seems to keep Agathon connected to the world in a way that feels alien for some of the other kindred you've met. Perhaps there's a lesson in that. When you get to the internet cafe, Hope is already waiting out front. The sight catches you off guard. A part of you suspected that she might be more of a shut-in, my haven is my castle type.
Is that me?
Yes.
She matched in 2002. Perfect timing. We need to go for a ride. Get in, get in, get in.
She doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring expectantly, causing everyone's heads to turn. Not wanting to attract needless attention, you quickly slip into the backseat of the car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching.
At 0 to 100 real quick. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, this is New York City. Everyone's always in a rush, and this is even more when we are kindred. And busy work. Now, allow me to take care of some business, and I'll be right with you.
Even as she's zooming through traffic, she's still on her phone, of course.
Business? How do you make a living in this city?
At busy work. In a long story. Do you really want to hear it?
Before you manage to answer, she starts talking.
At Discuss BTC, so another extremely unlike Mark based of New York, goes by the name of Dev Null, told me to Google Ethereum a few years ago. That's how I got into Bitcoin. At Discuss BTC, and I found a new religion. 23-year-olds selling visions of government replaced by benign code and decentralized consensus. Masses ruled by algorithms as just as the law of physics. At Discuss BTC, idiot man-child investors trying to shape their realities through their fanatical zeal, and dedicated collectors of things as abstract as RIA, SHA's 256 decryptions.
Her driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you, or does she peek into the rearview mirror more often than she looks straight ahead?
At Discuss BTC, I help a speculative environment where nothing has real value, only abstract beliefs matter, and your life saving can be ruined by a single bullshit tweet. How could I refuse the allure? At Discuss BTC, I started buying low and selling high on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allowed me with 100% X leverage. As in, they lend me 100 times the capital I could bet with. At Discuss BTC, I got lucky at the beginning and kept the ball rolling, shorting and longing impulsively, recklessly. I got to the point where I became too big to fail, and that's when I cashed out.
The car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump up against the seat in front of you.
At 100 to 0 real quick. Okay, This story will be continued later. We're here, right at our first stop. I'll need you to do me a favor.
Favor? What favor?
At Young Hop Petit Jean. Nothing too difficult. Literally a jump in, jump out kind of deal. At Young Hop Petit Jean. See that weird guy in a Yankee cap standing around the corner? Approach him. Tell him you're at Young Petit Jean. Take the phone he gives you and bring it here. At Young Petit Jean. Get going, honey. It's illegal to park here.
You jump out of the car and approach the man Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he seems pretty shady. The guy assumes a comically threatening pose as you approach him.
Duck.
The hell do you want?
I'm at Young Hopetique in Janoon.
Oh. No offense, but I kinda expected a girl. I mean, no, yeah. My bad for assuming. Damn.
Takes the phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you.
Everything's been prepared and preloaded according to your instructions. Should take about 2 minutes to transfer the data. Now get out of here.
The man walks away with an exaggerated hip-hop gait. You jump back into Hope's car. She immediately steps on the gas.
At Young Hong Petit Jean. You got the phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please.
She connects the two smartphones using a cable and begins some sort of data transfer. Looks like it's an identical model. After a minute or so, the process is complete.
At Young Hot Petit Jean. Alright, goodbye, lovely. You saved me, Mel.
Hope opens the car window, grabs her old phone. You're not expert enough to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had a $800 price slapped on it, and tosses it out the window. Surprised, you look behind you and see a car in the opposite lane run over the abandoned device. Hope notices your quizzical look.
At Off the Grill Lifestyle. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately. And I'm not going to use some cheap piece of shit, so it's an pretty expensive necessity.
Intersection. Red light. She takes advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face, and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle there is @VersaceBeauty.
At Discuss BTC. Now, I was telling you a story.
Getting rich.
At Discuss BTC. Right. At Discuss BTC. At some point toward the end of 2017, I became convinced I needed to cash out. There was no way to bubble was going to last forever. At Discuss BTC. I always knew there would be no grapes of wrath in the cryptocurrency era. I would have to be serious or profoundly antisocial, disconnected events. At Discuss BTC, the whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of lone millennials who rejected all the established modern values and kept attuning them to original sin of not buying Bitcoin back in 2013.
Another abrupt, last-second turn. You're pressed against the window. What the hell is with her driving style?
Bitcoin BTC. Bet a life you never wanted to live anyway and get a chance to win precisely this pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all the worldly desires. Find joy in suicidal ideation. I discuss BTC. To this day, money holds no real value to me. It's as abstract as a video game score. A bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. A 12 saver. So I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new arena. Elite New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them or make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. A 12th haver. I mean, of course I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something more than a star. A constellation.
Another abrupt stop, this time next to the entrance of a shifty-looking back alley.
At Leaky Gut Syndrome. Alright, friend. This time you, at Leaky Gut Syndrome, whistle blower extraordinaire. Wherever I press, sneak fuck wants a leak. You've got it. Got it? At Leaky Gut Syndrome. Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people on the last resort. Gets harder to protect my identity each time I show my face. At Leaky Gut Syndrome. And, since I've got you, a man is waiting for you in the back alley. He's paying back a favor with a flash drive containing crucial information we need to stay safe in the city. At Leaky Gut Syndrome. Retrieve it. I will circle the area. Make sure we aren't in danger right now. When you're done, get back in here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good.
You exit the car and see it drive away in a hurry, then head into the narrow passageway. Sure enough, there's a man waiting for you at the end of the back street. Unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes with a nervous eye tick, he looks even dodgier than the last guy you met. When you approach, he gives you a mean look.
Jordan.
You lost or something?
I'm at Leaky Gut Syndrome. So I got a little something that might interest me.
Of course, straight to the point, aren't you? Alright then.
Clumsily, he produces a USB stick from his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his hand back and gives you a sly grin.
Getting all this data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery is an unusually secretive person. Digging up dirt on her took more effort than I expected. Effort that I should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask around about her, the more you expect a letter saying, "Give up your inquiries, which are completely useless," at your doorstep. Perhaps attached to a severed cat head. You catch my drift? The secrecy surrounding her screams, "Friends in high places, brave new world order, Illuminati shit," you know? Makes me think I deserve some hazard pay.
I ran a background check on you. Not just some random smuck off the street. No way I didn't know what you were walking to when you took on this job. You really didn't? I thought you were kind of journalist who can gather intel worth shit.
You're bluffing the hell out of him, unsure if it's going to work. It does. The man spits on the ground angrily and raises his hands in surrender.
Alright, I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. My bad, okay?
He extends the hand holding the flash drive toward you again. You take it.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Not really sure what it's about, but one of my informant claims you might be interested in this.
He reaches into his inner jacket pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labeled simply as ABRH. You take a closer look, but that doesn't answer any of the questions that just appeared in your mind. You peek into the journalist's cold blue eyes and see them twitch uncontrollably.
Don't ask me, they said you'll know what to do with it! Leaky gut, come on, take it.
Fine, I'll take it.
You grab the bag.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think so. Thanks for your cooperation.
Another eye twitch and an awkward silence. You hide the blood bag under your clothes and leave the alley the way you came. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk out onto the street. It doesn't even fully stop when you approach, but slows down just enough so that you can jump in. The moment you close the door, she leans into the gas pedal with her full strength, causing the engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems as a person.
At Leaky Gut Syndrome. We've got it?
You throw the flash drive onto the seat next to her.
At Leaky Gut Syndrome. Perfect. Any problems? How did the meeting go?
You relate the entire back alley encounter to her. Toward the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road or her phone, but directly at your face. The realization startles you.
At Bloody Mary, Dad roll. You got that bat of blood with you?
You place it on the seat next to her. She peeks at the label. She looks at it again. Then, she steps on the brakes.
At Vulgar. Fuck! 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 At Vulgar. I'm okay.
She grabs both the bag and the flash drive you've obtained and throws them out the window. Looks like that's her favorite method of taking care of problems.
At Bloody Mary, D'Angelo. That bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found in less than 1% of the United States population. At Bloody Mary, D'Angelo. Glad you didn't drink it. Who knows what they've done with this bag? Some New York City vets can tell you wild stories about the irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred.
Seriously? Glad I didn't drink from him.
At Bloody Mary, D'Angelo. Better safe than sorry, yeah. Still, I wonder if they would have done with this blood. That would have been some kind of a 5-dimensional chess move. At Bloody Mary, D'Angelo. But, yeah. This contact is compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist, Finamy, and goodbye, dear at Leaky Gut Syndrome. You've got both outlived your usefulness.
After a brief period of hesitation, she deletes the Whistleblower Extraordinaire account and sighs.
At Bloody Mary, D'Angelo. Another one bites the dust. At Weatherhaver. I've got another story to finish. I was talking about Bitcom, and then, where did you stop?
And what's the elites?
At Wealthhaver. Oh, right. You know who I saw in real face of the city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? At Wealthhaver. A Russian working-class girl, born as Anna Sorokin. She moved to New York City in 2013 and convinced everyone that she was this insanely rich trust fund kid, a wealthy German heiress. At Wealthhaver. Manhattan elites totally fell for it, and they bought it for years while she swindled them. She only got arrested in 2017 after having stolen almost $300,000. At Weatherhaven. Sorokin created her Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone that she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of their life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. At Wealthhaver. She even made up a fake family financial advisor, then killed him off when she became a liability. And apparently, most of her rich victims never admitted to being scammed out of the shame.
By now, you're sure. The way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving, she's trying to escape somebody.
At Wealthhaver. Now, Delvey's locked up with murders in Rikers, writing her memories, apparently picking a lot of fights. Bless her heart. She'll forever be an inspiration. At Waldhaver. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old-ass financial advisor. At Waldhaver, a whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get rich with will collaborate. Makes it super easy to earn more money than I invest. At Waldhaver, you've seen it firsthand, both as a deceiver and as the deceived. It's a city of illusions. Make non-existent money, come up with a fictional status, play nonsensical Camarilla games. Well, savior. And one day, you might just find yourself at the top. Alright, we're reaching the last stop.
You look around. You're coming up on a parking garage.
A devil woman doctor. You're gonna take an elevator to the 17th floor. Give me the masked man you meet in the front of the door this memory card. It contains an art house movie I've made.
By art house, I mean vampire movie.
A devil woman doctor. Yes. A movie you've seen me rehearse in my haven. You didn't think I was doing that just for show, did you? A devil woman doctor. I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who'll pay a fortune for a convincing vampire camp show. I don't need money, but they're IT industry connections. Give me an idea. A devil woman doctor. When we give them this memory card, we'll gain access to tech that should allow us to take my biggest enemy to the city. So your nickname with this time is going to be...
Crash. You are momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. The first thing you know for sure is, if you were still a normal human being, you'd be dead. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed into Hope's vehicle at the maximum speed it was able to achieve in this closed-off space. The driver has already managed to kick open the mangled door next to him and stumble out of his seat. Now he wordlessly approaches the trunk and takes a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. He starts approaching the lavender wreck of Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job that he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him now. Your instincts take over. The world stops moving just as you start running. He can see you, of course, but not as a well-defined shape. It's a blur, and its speed is faster than his aim. It gets closer to him. He's scared. It's next to him. He's terrified. A series of superhumanly swift punches ruptures his body in all sorts of horrifying ways. His world briefly turns into an ocean of agony, and then disappears forever. You stand above the gunman's body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. That's when you hear her voice.
That's same brutally ironic. Ugh.
Hope slithers out of her car and sees you standing over your assailant.
It's same brutally ironically. Huh, you did pretty good.
She approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look at it. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, she lets out an annoyed grunt.
It's same brutally ironically. Knew it'd be in this asshole. He's been following us all day, and that shows us who he belongs to.
Even before she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually, she succeeds. You see a nonchalant woman in business casual on her smartphone screen.
Kelly do this too.
Cara Montgomery, how may I help you?
At Volgar, Cara.
Hope. Didn't expect you'd ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, did something happen?
At Vulgar, did something happen? You fucking gal just tried to kill me, you crazy bitch. That's what fucking happened.
Calm yourself, for Christ's sakes. This is a baseless accusation.
At Vulgar, I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working at your motherfucking company.
Come on. You know I can't be held responsible for the independent actions of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it over? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Cara from contacting her.
At Vulgar, you cooperate, shithead. You make me sick.
Tired, she turns her gaze to the dead ghoul.
At Holla, black woman. I'll dispose of him. Help me put him in my car.
30 seconds later, his body is laying on the back seat of the lavender-colored wreck.
At Holla, black woman. Okay, good.
You take a look at the scene of carnage in front of you.
At Holla, black woman. Every second wave here gets us closer to a serious masquerade violation. I'll have to exchange my palm d'or-worthy masterpiece for the goods of some other time.
She gets behind the wheel, and you follow her inside the car.
At Holla, black woman. Meet me in my haven when I tell you it's safe. For now, I need to dump this asshole somewhere, get my car fixed, and plan our counterattack.
You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off, and before she leaves, she makes what's about to come perfectly clear.
At me. If we want to survive in the city, Cara Montgomery needs to die.
She disappears into traffic, and you disappear into your place. Qadir al-Asmai, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect to see him already inside, or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence.
Evening. May I come in?
You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door.
Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? It feels like Langley's apartment through and through. A secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on this shelf. Obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual.
He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away.
The phenomenology of spirit, next to all of this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. The kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right?
Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familiar fight-or-flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Qadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again.
Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan.
Now, he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. That is casual. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. That endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours.
Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries,
There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact.
Let me get straight to the point, then.
He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return.
You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see. But that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so, I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for a good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or, like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone, but constantly lied to about everyone's pasts and motivations, even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all.
He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice. A voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him?
Though you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course, the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder, just like conspiracies between 2 unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall, a boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations, which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well.
Oh, what are your motivations?
Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Qadir notices the effort and smiles softly.
So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again. But I'm one of the faces of the New York City community, and as long as you're a part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you. And I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds. And one of them might endanger our community.
Well, that's not menacing at all. Who is he talking about?
Is this about Sophie?
Qadir shakes his head.
Sophie's fine. She's plotting something big. I know it, and she knows I know it. But she's treading carefully. As she should. No, they're not a major player.
He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you.
This is our troublemaker.
You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Jessica Lowell. The woman who made the last few years of your life heaven and the last few weeks a living hell. Since you took pretty much everyone you knew with her after the split, you thought the transition to this life would be painless, no baggage at all. Have you thought wrong? You look up at Qadir, expecting answers.
There are some unfortunate rumors that you committed suicide after a messy breakup. So apparently Miss Jessica here is desperately mobilizing everyone she knows to look for you. Turns out she's contacted a lot of people who might recognize you, including some in law enforcement agencies. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent. Which means she must be stopped.
Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning.
I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow morning, so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken.
He'll arrange... what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now.
Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple. It's clean. No contrived schemes. No unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind, they used to hold dear. Their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see.
Of course he's invested in being kind to you, or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself.
Any objections?
Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head.
Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow.
He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. For a long time, you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, remembering how you once thought your world had ended with her leaving. Whining, sure. It seems like it was prescient whining. You started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When Benoit mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. It doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or a nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you've become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your very existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church had been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew.
Don't you worry about meeting here when your friend the priest returns. Duck, how's your French accent?
Give it a shot. Don't worry. He's not there tonight. You've had some time to think. I guess you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof.
Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too.
What do the kindred of Camarilla believe? The old ones.
It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their children. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories.
Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody is listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in 2 loners murmuring to each other in the front pew.
It might seem like ancient history. Things that happened thousands of years ago. But time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos.
Truly, something was written down when Masquerade was established.
Of course, the Tremere have made interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. If you have the chance, I recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night shunned by humanity and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption, cursed by God to wander. He remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third, and vampires started to run amok.
Vampires ruled openly over humans.
According to the stories, Cain was a benevolent and just ruler, using his vast knowledge to bring a new age of prosperity. Of course, those stories were written by vampires. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just.
There are people moving in the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. Many of the people you've seen have been elderly or disabled, so it's not surprising that you hear the squeak of a wheelchair. What alarms you more is that you overhear an older woman speaking with a Russian accent mention Father Anthony.
Nika, strong Russian accent.
Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what we heard, he's an exceptional man.
You turn to look and see two men and a woman. All three are in their 50s, clearly well worn by life. One of the men pushes the woman in a wheelchair. She's dark-haired and intense, seemingly only half in this world.
Jordan.
Yeah, exceptional, but he doesn't like moles.
The speaker is shorter of the men, more animated and worried. He was probably a strong man in his youth, perhaps even an athlete. His voice carries a Midwestern accent.
We're only interested in whether he likes black bodies.
You and Benoit look at each other. This is bad news. Whoever these three are, they can't be good for you.
Oh dear. We need to get out. Let's meet outside.
Better not to call attention to yourself. You decide to move to the side of the cathedral and pretend to pray at an altar. You walk casually towards the side, away from the three approaching mortals. You feel their eyes boring into your back, but you force yourself to be cool. Benoit is nowhere to be seen. You blinked and he disappeared in a burst of speed. You're worried it was too conspicuous, but maybe the mortals missed it. You pretend to admire the architecture for a while before glancing back at the trio. They have settled at the exact spot you just occupied, apparently waiting for something and conversing in hushed tones. Once you're sure their attention is elsewhere, you start walking briskly down the side aisle towards the exit.
That was a close call.
Who were those three? Did you recognize them?
I might have. I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair.
For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something.
There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker. Yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind?
We should make our own way in the world. All this talk with Cain, sires, and childer. We think we're bound to the hierarchy forever.
We are, my friend. We are. Unless you want to go anarch. You know, I'm Sophie's child, and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in questions of the spirit.
You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all the talk about Cain and the first city, you forgot about it. Now the only question is, What does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not.
Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me.
Fuck you. That was not okay. Do that again, and make sure you regret it.
You'll get over it. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony.
You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. Knock, knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand.
Ready to go, fledgling?
You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nevertheless.
Excellent. Stay close.
He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rear view mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide.
Apparently rains every night here.
However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Qadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. All the things you wanted to say to Jessica keep running through your head.
Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Do treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. Found yourself at a crossroads. Decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable. The rent is too high. They've heard it all. You were ready to leave New York for good when you heard those absurd rumors about taking your own life. So you've decided to set the record straight.
He gives you a knowing look.
And close the curtains on your relationship, once and for all, on your terms.
The car makes a sudden turn.
I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind, and don't make me regret it.
You can sense he's going out of his way for you. Doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you are worthy of his aid.
We're here.
You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place. It's that club. The one you met your future sire in while trying to forget about Jess.
This is where they last saw poor Eric. Who knows whatever might have happened to him? One Jessica Lowell is trying to find out. She got a tip from an anonymous source, saying that you might appear here tonight. Wouldn't want to disappoint the lady, would you? She's apparently quite distraught.
He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the club. The last time you were headed this way, you still had a pulse. Feels almost nostalgic. There's a party getting started and some rookie DJ is trying to read the crowd. You begin to look for Jess. You wonder what the first thing you say to her should be. Yeah, that should work. The music is pulsing and there are good vibes in the air. You spot a girl hurrying to the bathroom with a nosebleed. The smell is faint, but it gets you in the mood to have some fun. However, Qadir indicated that he's got a pair of eyes around here somewhere. Better stick to the plan. A stupid idea pops into your head. If you meet her and she says,
I want to be with you again.
what would you do? What's done is done. Best not to dwell on it. By now, it feels like you've explored all the places Jess could have been. It's getting frustrating. You grab the cheapest drink they have from the bar. A tall blonde girl in a stylish skirt smiles at you from behind heart-shaped glasses. You smile back, but this is no time for the heart to guide the hand. You walk past her, back to your duty. You mimic taking a sip of your drink. God, you could have been having so much fun tonight. You could accidentally stumble into Jessica when you least expect it. She looks at you as if she's seen a ghost. You freeze up, trying to come up with something to say and failing. The last few years of your life flash before your eyes. Wait, what was the line you decided to open the conversation with? Before you remember, a powerful slap takes you out of your stupor.
You stupid motherfucker.
Guess she gets the first line. You realize you've spilled your drink all over your clothes.
I've been so worried. I've been so fucking worried. Called everyone I knew to look for you, and you're just having fun clubbing? You thought it would be funny to drop all contact with everyone? Pretend something happened to you? What, you wanted to see my reaction?
She slaps you once again. You let some sort of dissociation set in and just watch the situation as it unfolds.
I'll let everybody know you're okay, but don't you ever show yourself in front of me again.
She turns her back on you and disappears into the crowd, walking towards the exit. You look around. You notice the heart-shaped glasses girl chuckling in the distance. You're no longer in the mood to party. Guess you'll follow Jessica's lead and leave. Better not keep the sheriff waiting. Well, at the very least, you can say this. She still cares. That's nice. Back to Qadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal.
Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say?
You speak up without thinking.
Yeah. He said she'll call it a search. Getting her to accept that it was over took some harsh words. Deep down, I think she knew it was time to say farewell once and for all. She's a little shaken up, but she'll live.
You spot a playful spark in Qadir's eyes.
You took care of it like a man, did you? Very good. The people we knew in life have this tendency to briefly reappear in our unlives. One night, let's say, 20 years from now, she might spot you on the street. You won't have aged a day from now, and even though she'll tell herself that can't be you, she'll be jealous. And if you look happy, she will feel regret over what could have been. So, for the sake of the night your paths cross once again, I hope you'll search for your own happiness.
The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Qadir a good, hard look.
Thanks.
It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then, he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression.
Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt, he will go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now.
The car starts slowing down.
We're here.
You look out the window and see your haven.
Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often.
You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Qadir. Can't say you're fond of him, what's with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't, either. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure.